In 2010, Jonathan Wells was a young man in his 30s, leading a quiet and stable life in the city of San Francisco. He worked as a technical engineer at a major company and owned a simple house in a nice neighborhood. He didn't aspire to much more than a stable job and an ordinary life, but deep inside, he had a strong passion for adventure and exploring the world around him. He loved to escape from the pressures of daily life whenever he could, seeking moments of solitude away from the city. One day, he decided to embark on a trip to the northern forests in California, a place he had heard about in many stories. The area was famous for its breathtaking natural landscapes and rugged terrain. Jonathan wasn't planning on a long trip. He intended to spend just 2 weeks in the forest, away from the hustle and bustle of the city, hoping to sort through his thoughts. Since he was a fan of technology, he decided to share his moments with his friends via social media. He promised them daily updates and pictures to showcase the beauty of nature around him. Before he left, he informed his family and friends that he would be going to the forest in Northern California, and that he would remain in constant contact through the internet. He started sending them pictures of his journey as he ventured among towering trees and deep rivers. The pictures were beautiful, showing him enjoying the untouched nature, and he shared details of his adventure with everyone. On the 3rd day of his trip, Jonathan stopped sending any updates. He didn't send any photos or messages, and his friends began to feel concerned. The daily messages suddenly stopped, despite him planning to send updates regularly. They thought it was just a temporary issue with his phone signal. But as time passed, their worry grew. After 48 hours without any news, they decided to report his disappearance to the authorities. The police began organizing a search to find him in the forest. They sent specialized teams to the area where he was supposed to be. The forest was vast and isolated, making the search difficult and complex. However, this wasn't the only problem. On the 4th day of the search, they found Jonathan's car parked in a visitor parking lot at the start of one of the hiking trails. Everything in the car seemed normal. His bag was on the front seat, along with his gear and some food. But what raised suspicion was how the car was parked strangely. There was no sign that Jonathan had been in a hurry, or that he had left in a rush. The teams then moved on to search the surrounding trails, which were areas Jonathan had previously posted pictures of. But something strange happened. They found no trace of him. It's not just no recent traces, but no traces at all. There were no footprints on the ground, no signs on the trees he was supposed to have passed by. Things started to get even more bizarre. The investigators sent additional teams, including trained dogs, to track the trails, but the forest remained eerily quiet, and the weather was normal. Still, something about it felt off. Days passed, yet no other trace of Jonathan was found. No body, no belongings, not even a small item. Over time, the investigators used advanced techniques to track his cell phone data. They followed the digital records he had left behind. Using location tracking technology, they were able to pinpoint his last known location. But the most astonishing thing was that his last location was several miles away from where his car had been found. The place was a route he hadn't been to before. There was no explanation for what happened. The questions mounted. What had happened to him? Could there have been some supernatural force involved in his disappearance? Or was it just an accident? But things grew even stranger when investigators revisited the phone records and discovered something shocking. Jonathan Wells' name had vanished completely from all official records connected to the case. One of the investigators found that when they attempted to search for Jonathan's name in navigation maps or even in the police database, the results came up empty. It was as if his name had been erased from existence. The authorities tried to contact the telecom companies to review the records, but they found no reliable information about the person who had been reported missing. It was as if the world had completely forgotten him. Jonathan disappeared from the earth as though he had been erased from existence. There were no signs to indicate where he had gone, no witnesses to explain anything strange. His friends and family were shocked, and the police were left with no answers. As time passed, the case was considered one of the strangest disappearances in modern history. It seemed as though Jonathan had never existed at all. What really happened to Jonathan? Did he vanish into another dimension? Is there someone else behind his disappearance? To this day, there is no clear answer. And as time passed, Jonathan Wells' story became a topic of scientific research and studies on technology and the unknown. The mystery remains unsolved, with questions still unanswered and an air of uncertainty surrounding it.